नमस्सर्वेभ्यः शुभमध्याह्नः। अस्माभिः प्रातःकाले चार्वाकदर्शनम् इति किञ्चित् तस्य विवरणं यद्यपि बहु नास्ति तद् किञ्चित् ज्ञातम्। इदानीं जैनदर्शनं किम् इति ज्ञास्यामः। यथा अत्र लिखितमस्ति किञ्चित् संक्षेपेण। जैनदर्शनं बौद्धदर्शनात्
Sir, you are muted.
नमस्सर्वेभ्यः क्षम्यताम् म्यूट् कृतमिति न दृष्टं। धन्यवादः वर्य। शुभमध्याह्नः। चार्वाकदर्शनम् इत्यस्मिन् विषये किञ्चित् पठितम् अस्माभिः, तत्र लिखितमस्ति। इदानीं जैनदर्शनविषये ज्ञास्यामः। जैनदर्शनं बौद्धदर्शनात् पूर्वतनम्। अस्मिन् दर्शने सिद्धपुरुषाः अर्हत् शब्देन निर्दिश्यन्ते। अतः एव एतस्य दर्शनस्य आर्हतदर्शनं वृद्धिः आर्हतदर्शनम् इत्यपि नाम अस्ति। महावीरेण रागादयः रिपवः जिताः इत्यतः सः जिनः इति ख्यातः अभवत्। So the Jaina Darshana is older than Bauddha Darshana, and in this the Siddha Purushas, the Pravartakas, are known as Arhat is the Pratipadika, Arhan or something like that in Pullinga. So Shabdena Nirdishyante. Therefore this Darshana is also known as Arhata Darshana, and Mahavira is the proponent. So Mahavirena, by him, Raga Adayah, that means desire. Raga here is in the sense of desire. Desire and other enemies. Ripuhu is enemy. Ripavaha is Bahuvachana. Ripuhu, Ripu, Ripavaha, Guru Shabdavat. Jitaha ityataha saha jinaha iti khyataha bhavat. So Mahavira won over his desires, the enemies which are desires. So he started to be known as Jina. So that Jina Shabda has the origin in Jaya or Jitaha, that means victory, that kind of thing. Victory over one's own desires. Kyataha bhavat. Tataha agatam darshanam Jaina darshanam. Jinanam darshanam Jaina darshanam. Another vriddhi on the Jina Shabda. Jaina mata pracharakaha tirthankaraha iti uchyante. So they are known as Tirthankaras, the Pracharakas, the Pradhana Acharyas. Okay, Tirthankaraha iti uchyante. Tirthankareshu, Tirthankara again is a kind of equivalent to a Kritya Samasa. There is a Kara Pratyaya, not Krityas Pratyaya, but Tirtha mean Punya, that sense. Okay, those who do Punya. Tirthankaraha. So Tirthankareshu Adyaha Rishabhadevaha Mahavirascha Antimaha. Oh, Mahavira is the last of the Tirthankaras. Similar to how in Sikh Dharma also we find a series of such leaders. Okay, so Mahavirascha Antimaha. Adyaha Rishabhadevaha. Few things to keep in mind. Laukikam anubhavam api te syat iti vadanti. Oh, okay, the experience of the real world of this loka, they mention that in the sense of syat. Okay, that means in the sense, it's a Samskritam thing, it means possible, like that. Okay, it's kind of a little bit like a Maya type of inference. Okay, asti iti na syat iti. Okay, vadanti anubhavam अस्ति इति न वदन्ति, स्यात् इति वदन्ति. स्याद्वादः जैनदर्शनस्य प्रधानः वादः. तो एवं स्याद्वादः जैनदर्शनस्य प्रधानः वादः. So this is the thing to remember. It's a little deep, of course. It's at a very high level they have explained. So unless we go into depth of what is the interpretation of this syat, just from the Sanskrit knowledge of the potentiality mode of this syat, we cannot conclude. Must be some weak relationship with respect to the lakara sense of it. Samyak darshanam, samyak jnanam, Samyak Charityam Chaiti Jaina Darshane Ratnatrayam. This is brilliant. Samyak darshanam, to know properly in that sense. Samyak jnanam, to internalize properly. Okay, that means tatparya, getting the tatparya and the knowledge how to proceed with the darshana. Samyak charityam, obviously excellent execution of that in behavior, etc. Okay, cheti jaina darshane ratnatrayam. I think they are almost 3 steps of becoming a good Jain, you can say. Okay, jananam जीवनम नीतिपथे यथा स्यात्, जनाः प्रवृत्तिमार्गात् क्रमशः विमुखाः सन्तः निवृत्तिमार्गोन्मुखाः यथा स्युः तथा एतेन दर्शनेन विशेषपरिश्रमः कृतः अस्ति. जनानां जीवनं, the life of people, नीतिपथे यथा स्यात्, so that their lives may be in the path of correctness. Okay, janaha pravritti margat, from the path of such progress, path of progress, the people, kramashah vimukaha santaha, I mean basically pravritti marga here in the sense of not necessarily what you call, because later on nivritti marga is mentioned, that's why we have to read this pravritti marga in a slightly different way. So pravritti marga here is about laukika marga, about the real life gains and things like that we want in, like bhoga marga almost you can take in another sense. So pravritti marga, life of engagement with the life, practical life, that one. Kramashah vimukhaha santaha, gradually, of course, they also, just like in Sanatana Dharma, there is recognition in different, we don't do, we call them ashramas, no? So in Balya, Yauvana, etc. and all, we don't take Vimukha Marga. Okay, we take Pravritti Marga only. Then later on, as we get older, when other younger generations get into Pravritti Marga, we are taught to go into Nivritti Marga through Aranya phrase and through eventually even Sannyasa phase. Okay, but here something similar you can say. Vimukaha santaha nivritti margonmukaha yatha syuhu, may they be in the path of liberation. So tatha, that way, etena darshanena, by this darshana, vishesha parishramah kritaha asti. So a good effort has been done to explain that sense of life. Okay, so quite good there. Bauddha darshanam, Bhagavata Buddhena Bauddha darshanam pravartitam. So by Gautama Buddha, this darshana was propagated, started and propagated. Bharatiya Shastra Dharasu Bauddha darshanasya prabhavah visheshatah drishyate. So in the Shastra Dhara, in the thread of various Shastra, I mean the sciences of philosophies and other things in the Indian literature, Bauddha darshanasya prabhavah, the influence of Bauddha darshana, visheshatah drishyate, is seen specially. It means it has actually also impacted the original thought process that existed in the Sanatana thread also. Bauddha Moola Grantaha Bharate Lupta Prayaha Santi. However, due to various reasons, because of the faith changeovers that occurred, okay, so Moola Granthas are probably lost in their original form here in India. Obviously, I think largely due to the burning of some of the best universities that we had in Takshashila and other places. This loss happened. Okay. Bauddha Moola Grantaha Bharate Lupta Prayaha Santi. Videshiya Panditanam Samshodhanasya Phalatah Idanim Kechana Grantaha Drishyante. Because that Moola had propagated through translations or otherwise to other cultures, okay, which picked up on that, we are able to translate back. So Videshiya Panditanam Samshodhanasya Phalatah Idanim Kechana Grantaha Drishyante. Bhagavatah Buddhasya Anantaram Bauddheshu Bahvyah Shakaha Utpannaha. So just as is the tradition of human nature, every fellow who becomes something, makes something of himself, starts thinking like he is better than Buddha. So like that it happened there also. A lot of branches emanated after Buddha. Okay. Tascha chatasraha pradhanyena. There are four majorly. Okay. Vaibhashikaha, Sautrantikaha, Yogacharaha, Madhyamikaha cheti. So Vaibhashikas, Sautrantikas, Yogacharas and Madhyamikaha. The name itself may not mean more than too much. I mean, we have to read in deep to understand why the names are so. But anyway, okay. Vibhasha means a different type of language, like that. Sautrantika means sutra, something related to sutra, and antika means in towards the importance of the sutras, that kind of thing, or maybe embedded in the sutra principles. Yogachara, as we know, is about meditation, prayer. That's the yoga aspect of that. Madhyamikaha may be a middle ground, which may accept multiple of those, maybe. I can conclude from simple Sanskrit knowledge this much, but we really can't conclude from that kind of interpretation. Okay, here there is some more up till here. So pradhanyena, I mean importantly, sorry, here Vaibhashikanam Hinayana Sampradayah. So the Vaibhashikas follow a tradition of Hinayana Buddhism. Okay, Yana being a traverse in life or something, Hina being a lower traverse in life. I don't know why they call it Hinayana, but anyway. Anyesham Trayanam Mahayana Sampradaya. So the other three follow the higher path sense of it. Okay, fine. Bauddhanam Shunyavadaha Prasiddhaha. Okay. Also sometimes this Hina Maha also comes from for example, in my own community, there is this sense of high ground, low ground aspect. So like basically if a subsect lived on higher grounds in some mountains, then it's a male nat, and then for lower ground it's a keel nat. Keel, I mean simply similar to Hina in Dravida Tamil. So this male nat, keel nat, the afflictions are there in my sampradaya also, I can see that. But simply it meant those who are north somewhere and south somewhere, or maybe higher grounds, lower grounds, these kind of things. It doesn't need to mean anything else. Okay. Anyway. Bauddhanam Shunyavadaha Prasiddhaha. Their argument of Shunya, or basically nothing being other than absent sense. Okay, Abhava Bhavada or Shunyavada is famous. Okay, Yatra kimapi nasti tat iti atra Shunya padasya artha na. Oh, immediately Sanskrit Bharati knocks on our head. It is not as if where nothing is there. I mean, don't take the literal meaning of Shunya being nothing is there sense of the meaning of Shunya Pada. Bauddha Darshane Shunya Padasya Darshanikaha Vishalaha Arthaha Asti. There is a very broad darshanik sense to that Shunya Pada. Okay. Bauddha Matasya Dharmikaha Bahavaha Amshaha Tripitake Nirupitaha Santi. So Tripitaka is the central grantha. Which is accessible to us, through which we can learn about this Tripitaka. Okay, again some three things. Okay, all right. So keywords: Buddhena Bauddha Darshanam, Bharatiya Shastra Dharas Shastrayam Tasya Prabhavaha, Bharate Luptaprayaha Bauddha Mata Grantaha, Videshat Punaha Anaya अत्र लिखितमस्ति, पुनः स्थापितमस्ति. बहवः शाखाः सन्ति, प्रधानतया चतस्रः, यथा वैभाषिकाः एवं सौत्रान्तिकाः, योगाचारः, माध्यमिकाः. तत्रापि वैभाषिकाः हीनयानसम्प्रदायस्थाः, अन्ये महायानसम्प्रदायस्थाः. शून्यवादः इति प्रसिद्धवादः अस्ति बौद्धानां. न तु शून्यम् इत्युक्ते किमपि नास्ति इति न, तत्र विशालः अर्थः अस्ति. त्रिपिटकम् इति पुस्तकमस्ति, तस्मिन् बहवः धार्मिक अंशाः बौद्धमतस्य निरूपिताः सन्ति. यदि वयं बहु ज्ञातुं इच्छामः तर्हि त्रिपिटकग्रन्थं पठनीयम् अस्माभिः. मूलं तु प्रायः पालीभाषायां वा स्यात्. इदानीं संस्कृतच्छाया अथवा अन्यभाषासु अपि लभ्येत. वैशेषिकदर्शनं सकलदर्शनापेक्षया वैशेषिकदर्शनं प्राचीनम्. Okay, this is in the Sanatana kind of folder, right? So sakala darshanaapekshaya vaisheshika darshanam prachinam. Darshanam etat sarva shastropakarakaam asti. It is a base for all the shastric arguments and shastra thoughts that emerged later. So vaisheshika. Etasya darshanasya pravartakah kanadaha. Kanada munihi athava kanadaha rishihi, you can even say. Kanadaha is the proponent of Vaisheshika Darshana. Kashyapa Vamshotpannaha Eshaha Kashyapaha Ityapi Khyatha. So, because of Vamsha linkage to Kashyapa, so he is known as Kashyapa. So, Kashyapa Kanadaha. Okay. Etad Darshanasya Chintanasya Nyaya Darshana Chintanasya cha Vishesha Bhedaha na drishyate. So, this seems to be precursor to Nyaya Darshana. Basically they are paired, that's why seems to be an slightly overlapping, just like we see that between yoga and sankhya also. Etad darshanasya chintanasya nyaya darshanasya chintanasya cha vishesha bhedaha na drishyate. Loke sthitaha padarthaha saptada vibhaktaha atra. So Vaisheshika divides the material world into 7 things. It identifies 7 elemental aspects. Again that based on grouping them based on qualities, etc. Etasya darshanasya mukhyam pratipadyam nishreyasam moksha. They call moksha as nishreyas. Okay, so the goal of the Vaisheshika darshana is nishreyas. Okay, padarthaha nishreyasa sadhana bhutaha. So all these objects in the world, they are all instruments for the eventual goal of obtaining that nishreyas padavi, basically, which is moksha padavi. Okay, all right. It doesn't look like very giant type of thing. It's the base for many other later things. What it says and what it puts out has been further expanded into other viewpoints later, I'm sure. Because if you see Jaina Darshana and Bauddha Darshana and even Charvaka Darshana, more is talked about way of life, etc. Here, of course, in the summary they have given very little is there about way of life, but I'm sure it was a dharma philosophy, so it may be not summarized so much here. It must be present because its focus was one aspect on material description, etc. Okay. I mean, sometimes this classification itself is also sometimes to us a little, sometimes we see short circuit nature. Something is not classified as darshana, something is classified as darshana, whereas something that is not classified as darshana seems to have more thoughts and outlays about way of life, etc. Whereas this Sankhya, Vaisheshik Sakya also may not be. So Vaisheshika is not so broad based as maybe Bauddha Darshana or Jaina Darshana goes into life, etc. Okay, so yeah, we'll take it with a pinch of salt.
Actually, like Anirudh here, like actually, like things in Swami Dayananda, like he wrote that all the 6 that Hindu Darshana, like tell the truth, the truth, same truth, but in different approaches, like that he
perhaps,
told.
Perhaps. They perhaps I agree with you. They are somewhat overlapping, and at the same time they explain something different than the others do. So they're like a compendium. Collectively they form the Sanatana Darshana, you can say.
Yeah.
If you want to call something as Sanatana Darshana against Bauddha Darshana, I refrain from using Hindu word because it was not a old word. So Bauddha Darshana, Jaina Darshana, Charvaka Darshana, and then you should say Sanatana Darshana as the 4th, and in which all these 6 come. Yes, correct, I agree with you.
It should be viewed in like totality. We should not like view it in isolation.
Yes, I think that's why when we place it against Bauddha Darshana, Jaina Darshana like that, it appears to fall short in what is outlaid here. But that is not so. Like you pointed out, it is actually a sub Darshana under what we can classify giantly as Sanatana Darshana. Correct. Correct. Well said. It's high time actually we start introducing that hierarchy under this 6 of them.
I think in the Satyat Prakash, actually, it is, I think, some more detail is there. Like Swami Dayananda, in Satyat Prakash, this, what you are saying, the detail that is explained more detail. He has given some examples also, like how, like some darshana says, like in creation is made of atoms. In one darshana, say that creation God has created. So God has created through atoms, like that. So one focuses on the chemical part, like material part. One focuses on the divine part, like that. So we have to combine everything, like that. He gave some examples also in that book.
Correct. Very good. Thank you, sir. Thanks for that, Vivek. Okay, that helps us. So Nyaya Darshana. न्यायदर्शनस्य प्रवर्तकः सूत्रकारः गौतमः. To me, Nyaya Darshana also actually more looks like Nyaya Shastra really. But some people do call it Nyaya Shastra also. So there is a little bit of what you call that imprecise terminology really in my opinion. Anyway, Nyaya Darshanasya pravartakah sutrakarah Gautamah. Okay, so Gautama. So remember earlier we got Kanada, Kashyapa Kanada, and then now we have Gautama. Anyani Shastrani Iva, see Shastrani, see they have even switched to the Shastra word here. Shastrani Iva etat api prachine kale moksha shastratvena eva prasiddham astit. Actually, see what is very important in the old these authorships was that they have to show the phala. Basically, there is a thing called what is the Anubandha Chatushtaya, something they call it for Granthas. They have to show what is the goal of this, all this I am writing, right? So usually all the Sanatana Darshana or even Shastra Grantha, if you want to call them, they define that moksha is the goal of this study. Because one person cannot study all in a depth. If suppose somebody wants to become a Nyaya specialist, he needs to dedicate his entire lifetime for Nyaya. So the question to ask of him is, if you are doing only Nyaya studies and only teaching, learning that, what is your goal? I mean, like, so his goal, the Grantha says to him, don't worry, this is a full path to your liberation. This is sufficient because you need entire lifetime to become an expert in this. This is your full path to moksha. So all of them have moksha as the path, and basically that kind of thing. So for a mathematician, mathematics is the path to moksha, like that. Nothing wrong. Perfect. न्यायदर्शनस्य प्रवर्तकः सूत्रकारः गौतमः. अन्यानि शास्त्राणि इव एतदपि प्राचीने काले मोक्षशास्त्रत्वेन एव प्रसिद्धम् आसीत्. चतुर्दशे शतके 14th century गंगेशोपाध्यायः एतत् पृथक् शास्त्रत्वेन वर्धितवान्. So he was this Gangeshopadhyaya, I think Vangadesha. He actually established something called Navina Nyaya, Pratak Shastratvena Vardhitavan. Tatah tat Navina Nyaya iti Khyatam Abhavat. Yadyapi Vaisheshika Darshanasya Nyaya Darshanasya cha Sukshmah Bhedah asti, tathapi idanim tayoho abhedah eva iti pariganyate. Though there is a subtle difference, we look them as a coupled pair. They are not different like that. Nyaya Darshane Jnanam Mimamsayaha. Nyaya Darshane Jnana Mimamsayaha. Okay. Jnana Mimamsayaha Pramananam cha Prashastyam asti. So in Nyaya Darshana, the Jnana Mimamsa being some kind of analysis, okay, analytical viewpoint. Jnana Mimamsa being about the knowledge, analytical analysis of knowledge, something like that. And Pramananam, and for proofs, cha Prashastyam asti. It is having details on these things. Jnanat muktihi iti pratipadayati etat darshanam. From knowledge is liberation. So it establishes. This we actually, all of us students here who are sitting in this Sanskrit class definitely are believers in this. Knowledge is liberation, like that, there is no doubt. Etasmin darshane Ishvaraha anumanena sadhyate. So Ishvara is concluded, presence of Ishvara is concluded not through pratyaksha thing, they call it Anumana Pramana. So we infer God. So that this Nyaya Shastra shows the path of inferring God like that. Okay. Sankhya Darshanam. Sankhya Darshanasya Adyah Acharyah Kapilah. So third name. Gautamaha we got for Nyaya, Karnada for Vaisheshika. Now we have Kapila Muni. So Kapilah Acharyah. Sankhya Darshanasya Adyah Acharyah. The first Pravartakaha, you can say. Adyah Acharya Pravartakaha Kapilah. Tena Pravartitam Sankhya Darshanam Kidrisham iti idanim nagnayate. See, this is the problem. Tena Pravartitam Sankhya Darshanam Kidrisham iti idanim nagnayate. The opinion here is that because they are not, this is because this author doesn't believe that the Sankhya Sutras available to us today is Kapila's work. There is some doubt about that. That's what this school is believing in. So he has put it down like that. If you do believe the Sankhya Sutras available today are actually the original, then there is this statement can be questioned. Yataha etad darshana grantaha sarve luptaha asan Ishvara Krishnaha nama panditaha karikam punaha nirmaya etad darshanam ujjivitavan. So Ishvara Krishna, the proponent of Sankhya Karika, or basically he created it again. So darshanam ujjivitavan, he reignited life into this darshana. So there is no mention of Sankhya Sutras here. Anyway, let's see if they mention later. Sankhya darshane prakritihi purushaha cheti mula tattva dvayam. So there is a primary concept here is there is some entity called Prakriti, which is a Strilinga Shabda, and Purusha, which is the Pullinga Shabda. So these two are identified in Sankhya Darshana as the initial two objects. Okay, Mula Tattva Dvayam. Tataha eva jagataha utpatihi. So with the interaction of Prakriti and Purusha, the entire Vishwa is born. Prakritihi jada, Purushaha chetanaha. Prakriti is the material world, and the Purusha is the energetic embodiment, the inciter kind of thing. Purusha sambandhat prakrutau kriya. So due to this interaction of these two, there is a kriya, that means action and results of that action in Prakriti. Prakriti Purusha bhinnam Ishwaram na angikaroti Sankhya Darshanam. So doesn't recognize that there is any third entity. Okay, I mean this is according to Karika. There is any third entity called Ishvara which is different from Prakriti and Purusha. So those two are necessarily as the twinning, that twins that is like the God figures, is kind of, you can say. Angikaroti Sankhya Darshanam. Idanim vividhani Vedanta Chintanani yani drishyante teshu sarveshu Sankhya Darshanasya prabhavaha asti eva. In all the various Vedanta Chintanas, basically Vedanta Chintanas being, commentary on Uttara Mimamsa, etc., generates lot of Vedantic matas which are existent today, the Shaiva matas, the Vaishnava matas, etc., and all that. So they seem to be very much based on the Sankhya Darshana's influence. Okay, all right. Vaidya Shastre api etasya prabhavaha drishyate. So looks like even Ayurvedic granthas are influenced by Sankhya Darshana. Thoughts of Sankhya Darshana, because this Prakriti Purusha aspect is thought of in all the philosophical threads of all these Shastras like that. I too strongly believe in this duality.
Trigunatmika Prakriti.
Bhagini?
Yeah, Trigunatmika Prakriti. And so the Sattva, Rajas, Tamas and all is a lot of influence in Ayurveda also.
Correct. Bhagini is, see, that's why. And also you can kind of truly believe in it. Now show me anything in the world that doesn't have this concept of Prakriti and Purusha, basically concept of feminine and masculine combining for complementing. The double thread is seen in almost everything. There are, of course, some other ways of progeny happening in the plant world, etc. But what is generally seen is those plants that depend on pure cell, there is a word for it in science, non-interacted progeny, basically by cuttings, etc., like that. Those don't survive for long because they will become genetically weaker, because there is no genetic enhancement possible through such reproduction. Okay, so because genetic enhancement is not possible through such reproduction, there is actually a weaker and weaker progeny that is generated, which becomes equally vulnerable and more vulnerable to the problems that the earlier parentage faced. Whereas when there is a Prakriti Purusha involvement, there is a chance for this genetics to improve, basically because the progeny happens through survivors of Prakritis and Purushas. Okay, since survivors of Prakritis and Purushas, the progeny happens, the lineage is stronger. Okay, that means the good genes will progress, right? So that is clearly seen in nature. There is no doubt in that. So God
Even
has,
in
if you call God, God has created that duality. Yes, Varya.
So even in like science also, if we see electron, proton, and like north pole, south pole, so there also like all that the dual things are always
Yes, duality. Exactly. Every force seems to have certain duality. Yeah. So even magnetic force, we don't know about gravitational force, whether there is a negative gravity. There is a lot of theory about that, but we will leave that aside. Yes, Rajiv Varya.
Sir, there is one matha only in a place called Madhupur in Bihar, which is only actively teaching Sankhya Darshanam still. Because most other places it's not being taught. And this was started by one Hariharnanda Aranya Swamiji. And he also had a very strange life, in the sense that at some point in his life he shut himself in a cave. And he, till the end of his life, he stayed in that cave and never came out, only took food through a small window opening. And he's written a book on Sankhya.
Okay, interesting. Thanks for that update, Varya. Good. So there is, even today, there is continued attempt to try and go into depths of all this. Okay, all right. So Prakriti jada Purushaha Chetanaha Purusha Sambandhat Prakrutau Kriya Prakriti Purusha Bhinnam Ishwaram na Angīkaroti Sankhya Darshanam Idanim Vividhani Vedanta Chintanani Yani Drishyante Teshu Sarveshu Sankhya Darshanasya Prabhavaha Asti Eva Vaidya Shastre Api Etasya Prabhavaha Drishyate. Good. So try to read through this repeatedly and remember certain keywords so that we can summarize again if required. If the 2 marks question may Sankhya Darshanam Varnayata, like that. Sankhya Darshanam Athava Yoga Darshanam Va Varnayata, choice, like that. Okay. So Yoga Darshanam Api Ati Prachinam Maharshina Patanjalina Yoga Sutrani Rachitani. Patanjali. We believe that this same Patanjali worked on some Ayurvedic stuff and all that, but the pratiti is that, see, sometimes this Vyasa, names like Vyasa, Patanjali are titles. So it could be multiple Patanjalis. Okay, but that's okay. It is such a hoary past, we don't know to say for sure it is not the same Patanjali, different Patanjali, what, it's all guessing. Because we are limited in our capability, we tend to think they were also limited in their capability. So we try to say, oh, that's a whole family of people, can't be one person. Because even to understand one of their granthas, we struggle. Okay. Anyway, Maharshina Patanjalina Yoga Sutrani Rachitani. Sutra Grantha, so very full of aphorisms, tiny, with lot of interdependent interpretations, etc. Not going into detailed Vyakhyana, nothing. Okay. Yoga Sutrani Rachitani. Yoga Darshanam Ishvara Tattvam Angīkaroti. So it accepts the concept of a Ishvara, which means God in our, basically, need not always be using the phrase Brahman here. So Ishvara Tattva. Yogaha Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Iti Vadati Yoga Sutra is the first sutra. Okay. Atha Yoganushāsanam is the first sutra. But anyway, after that is Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha is the second sutra. So simply it seems, what is the union? Union means the containment of the disturbances of mind. Such a simple statement. Iti Vadati Yoga Sutram. Yama Niyamadayaha Yogasya Ashta Angani. Yama, Niyama, etc. Basically control, aspect. So please read within the first 20-30 sutras you get to all this. Ashta Angani. Yogasya Paramam Prayojanam Kaivalyam Mokshaha. So they call the moksha as kaivalya, means you need only that remains, kaivalya, that kind of thing, the end only that remains, that sense. Okay, so we saw moksha as one word, we saw nishreyas as another word. Okay, so here we have kaivalya word in yoga darshana. Okay, Bhagavad Gitayam api jnana yoga bhakti yogadayah saralataya shailya, okay, saralaya shailya ramaniyataya nirupitaha santi. So even in Bhagavad Gita, different chapters address this jnana yoga bhakti, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga, etc., karma yoga, raja yoga, I think the other two. So they do explain this in nice ways. Asanani api yogasya laghu angam. Actually, Yoga Sutra itself contains only a very mere reference to asanas. Asanas is more a paddhati that separately existed. Okay, it went with the philosophical aspects of the yoga darshana as on the side activity, sharirika activity, but there is mental thing involved there also, of course, it's not purely sharirika. Okay, yogasya laghu angam. Samanyaha janaha api yoga darshanasya keshanchit tattvanam anusaranat jivana parishkaram praptum arhanti. So even very simple people who don't need to go into deep philosophies can benefit from the aspects of yoga darshana, how it talks about concentration and focus and removing unwanted thoughts and helping that will calm the brain so much that actually it will allow the normal humanity of our nature to come up and all the devilry of our nature to be suppressed. Okay, I could say that. So the practice does help, but to scientifically understand it will be nice to also go into the darshanik grantha and understanding that. Okay, so good, so people can improve their life through this. Purva Mimamsa Darshanam and Uttara Mimamsa, last pair is left for us. Okay, so Purva Mimamsa is more about yaga, yajna, analysis of Vedas with respect to yaga and yajna karya, and Uttara Mimamsa is more about philosophical, basically almost Upanishadic interpretation of the meaning of Vedas. Okay, all right, so Purva Mimamsa Darshanam. Mimamsa Darshanasya Pravartakah Jaiminihi. So another name. So what all we got? Karnada for Vaisheshika and Buddha for Bauddha Mata and Tirthankara from many. One of the last one was Mahavira for Jaina Darshana. And then we saw Charvaka. There is one name that came. I can't recall now. Okay. So, Brihaspati came, though it is more like a story. Then for Nyaya we had Gautama, and we have Sankhya is Kapila, and Yoga is Patanjali. So now we have got Purva Mimamsa Jaimini. So remember this pairing of names. Truth tables will come in the exam for you to match. Mimamsa Darshanasya Pravartakah Jaiminihi. Sorry, in between I have these lame interactions about exam, but since some of you worry about that, I am throwing some hints. Mimamsa nama Jignyasa Chintanam iti artha. So the meaning of Mimamsa, actually there is a dhatu, Mimamsate or something like that. Okay, so Mimamsa nama Jignyasa Chintanam iti artha. So analysis, thinking, analyzing. Chintanam doesn't mean worry here. Okay, artha Mimamsa Darshanam Vedasya Parama Pramanyam Angikaroti. It is actually analyzing Vedas words only. So Parama Pramanyam Angikaroti. It accepts the ultimate truth of Vedas. Vedasya Purva Bhaga Bhutan Brahmana Grantan Ye Sarvadarshanasya Paramadharam Bhavitavantah Te Purva Mimamsakaraha Jataha. Those who entirely believed only in following the instructions in the Brahmana Granthas. Brahmana Grantha is the second segment of Veda partitioning, right? We talk first as the Ruk, the what you call the verse part of the Vedas, okay, which are recited.
Samhitas.
Samhitas, okay, so yeah, so the recitations that happen, okay. Next is actually this Brahmana Grantha is basically describing do this, do that. It's an instruction for the for the carrying out of various types of yagas and yajnas, okay. So because that contains instructions, there somewhere recitation of the Samhita part or the mantra part is also important as part of descriptions of Brahmana. So this Purva Mimamsa is about understanding what the Brahmana Grantha Vakyas say, how to interpret the Brahmana Grantha statements, because they go into very hoary past. It requires further explanation. They have got into this Purva Mimamsa Darshanam. Sarvadarshanasya Paramadharam Bhavitavantaha. So Brahmana Grantha is the basis. They completely these are called Karma Kanda. Brahmana Grantha is a heavy part of the Karma Kanda. Karma Kanda being the actual yaga yajna doing, the daily rituals that we do, etc. Okay. So they became Purva Mimamsa Karaha. Okay, all right. Vedasya Uttara Bhaga Bhutaha Upanishadaha ye स्वदर्शनस्य परमाधारं भावितवन्तः ते उत्तरमीमांसाकाराः इति प्रसिद्धिं गताः. As against these पूर्वमीमांसाकाराः who are totally karmakanda believers, there are some who believe that yes, it is important to do the Vedic rituals, but that is not the goal of Vedas. The Upanishad part of the Veda is the most evolved one, okay, so which come in the end. Uttara Bhaga Bhutaha Upanishadaha, Vedanta we call it also, no, because it's towards the end. So Sarvadarshanasya Paramadharam Bhavitavantaha. So they believe this, the philosophical teachings of what Upanishad says is the more important one, without ignoring, of course, the ritualistic aspect of yaga yajna. It doesn't mean they abandon that and follow this. So you can say Uttara Mimamsakaras are going beyond just where Purva Mimamsakaras stay. Don't worry about the philosophy, do it. Just doing this yaga yajna has its own benefit. It will give you Swarga Prapti, etc. It's these guys. And these guys say no, there is something beyond Swarga. Those rituals are not alone. We need not alone sufficient. We need to philosophize deeper, and Upanishads have the rahasya like this. Uttara Mimamsakara Prasiddhim Gataha. All the Vedantins also are believers in, of course, Purva Mimamsa procedures, no doubt. They don't abandon their daily rituals, monthly rituals, etc. Mimamsa darshane karmana eva parama pradhanyam. So actions, karmana means the yaga, yajna, homa, actions, parama pradhanyam. Mimamsa darshane vedartha jnanartham vishesha pradhanyam dattam asti. So it's giving heavy importance to vedartha jnana. Vedaha shabda pramanena jnayate iti vadati etad darshanam. So this darshana is about giving shabda pramana of Vedas. Okay. Vedasya apaurusheyatvam api etad darshanam pratipadayati. So it says, it also establishes that these cannot have been humanly generated. These have a divine source in how they got generated. They established that. There are about 1000 odd sections, or you can call it as prakaranas, that are involved here in Purva Mimamsa Darshana about interpretation of Vedic statements with examples. Okay, it's quite scientifically outlaid. Yeah, Uttara Mimamsa Darshanam. So this is Brahma Sutra Darshanam, you can also kind of. Uttara Mimamsa Nama Vedantaha Upanishadam Adharena Atra Chintanam Kriyate. Vedanta Darshane Chintanasya Parakashta Drishyate. So you can say this Uttara Mimamsa Darshanan is a summary viewpoint of the Upanishadic part of Vedas, whereas Purva Mimamsa Darshanam is a summary viewpoint of the Karmakanda portion, which is Brahmana, including the Samhita Bhagas. Okay, all right. Uttara Mimamsa Nama Vedantaha Upanishadam Adharena. So this is Upanishad Shabdasya षष्ठी विभक्ति इति मन्ये. अत्र चिन्तनं क्रियते. वेदान्तदर्शने चिन्तनस्य पराकाष्ठा दृश्यते. So the highest levels of thought processes is seen in analysis in Vedanta Darshana. Vedanta Darshane prasthanatrayam asti. There is a concept called prasthanatrayam. Okay, that means three high places, you can say, but are proposal type of thing. Okay, so what are the three granthas that fall in that prasthanatraya are Brahma Sutrani, okay, Bhagavad Gita and Upanishadah. So the collection of important Upanishads, okay, and Bhagavad Gita and Brahma Sutras are considered as the prasthanatraya. Okay, prasthanatraya shabdena nirdishyante. Vividaha acharyaha etesham Brahmasutradinam bhashyam swachintananugunam likitavantaha. Brahmasutra is a very difficult nut to crack. It's very, very concise and it requires deep thinking. And the acharyas have done that deep thinking, many acharyas, and proposed their own interpretations through bhashyas. Okay, so this is Shankara Bhashya, Shri Bhashya, like this, it's all available. Okay, swachintananugunam likitavantaha. Tataha, from that Advaita, Advaitam, Dvaitam, Vishishtadvaitam, itopi bhavaha santi. Etadayaha, ityadayaha, sampradayaha, pravrittaha. So the Laukika sampradayas that exist today are from these acharyas with those swachintanas. None of the followers have read anything what their acharyas have written, but they say we belong to that clan through birth, sadly. Vedanta Shastre Paralaukika Chintanam Yatha. Just as there is thought of beyond world things, Tathaiva Aihalaukika Chintanam api Visheshatah Kriyate. Aihalaukika Chintanam is Iha. Iha's growth is Aiha. Iha being this loka. That is Paraloka and this loka. So, though the focus is more on the moksha aspects and the world beyond current life, it doesn't necessarily mean it restricts to that. It also focuses on how to live in this world. So, Aihalaukika Chintanam api Visheshatah Kriyate. Bharatiyam Samanyam Janajivanam Sahityam Bhasha Ityadishu Sarveshu api Vedantasya Prabhavaha Visheshatah Drishyate. We do see this lasting impact of Vedantic thoughts in all our material life as well as Adhyatmic life today. Okay. Tough things to remember there, lots, but I think few simple things can be easily remembered. Not too difficult, I guess. Needs reading many times. So, there is one more, some more statements about Bharatiya Darshana. So, let us see the second half what they say. I will read quickly. Bharatiya Darshananam Vikasaha. Expansion. Bharatiya Darshananam Vikasaha Staratraye Bhavati iti Vaktum Shaknumaha. It happens in 3 tiers. Mahatma Kaschana Rishihi Paramatma Sakshatkaram Adhyatmikanubhavam va mantra rupena abhivyanjayati prakatayati. So some great soul with greater insights. Like just even today we see, God has graced some people with lot of ability. They are able to do things that you and I can't even dream of. Their memory power, analytical power, etc. and all brilliant. If they apply it with the correct upbringing, that will happen. So, but we have seen historically such Mahatmas, can be only called Rishis, due to the grace of Paramatma Sakshatkarat, due to the grace of Paramatma and the Adhyatmika Anubhavam and their own effort and internal effort, okay, their own experiences and what is grace of God by which they come to know of things, they put that down in mantra rupena, in the form of mantras and actually sutras also. Abhivyanjayati, prakatayati, they establish. Yesha prathama avirbhavavastha. We believe Vedas are generated like this. So this is the first genesis of such mantras. Tataha, from that, अन्यः महात्मा गद्यरूपाणि सूत्राणि रचयित्वा पद्यरूपाः कारिकाः रचयित्वा वा एकां दार्शनिकपद्धतिं प्रतिष्ठापयति. So from those initial Vedantic Veda mantras, not Vedantic, Veda mantras including Vedantic aspects, another person could put down certain sutra form. Okay, this would be our Kapila, Patanjali, etc. Okay, so those are Vedic rishis. Okay, Padya Rupaha Karikaha, like our Ishwara Chandra for Sankhya, like that. Okay, Rachayitva va ekam darshanika paddatim pratishthapayanti. They establish a certain interpretation and a method. Yesha dvitiya avastha. This is the second. So the darshanas fall in the second layer. Tataha etesham vivaranam vritti vartikadi dvara prachalati. The explanation of this happens through vritti and vartika, etc. Okay, so basically more and more detailed exposition of the meaning of these things. This is where our bhashyas come into picture, like Shankara Bhashya, etc. will come into picture here. Antarartha grahanam vivaranadharena anubhavadvara prayogaha. So let us go slowly. Antarartha grahanam, getting the inner meaning. Vivaranadharena anubhavadvara prayogaha. So by explanative notes and by experiential knowledge, the execution of that whatever meaning that was understood. Asangata Vishaya Nivaranam, removal of unrelated things, that is cleansing of the unwanted portions. Ityadaya, etc. Anantara kale prachalanti. So refinement happens through further analysis and thought process. Okay, commentators further will reject some interpretation and say no, it doesn't seem logical. At least we are not able to understand it logically. So let us say this is the correct interpretation. Like this. Purva Paksha Siddhanta Shailya Sarvan Shastra Sangraha Rupani. I don't know what is this. Sarvamsha. Okay. Sarvamsha Sangraha Rupani. So Purva Paksha Siddhanta is basically, Purva Paksha is the previous proponent's proposal. Okay, you can call him the opposition, but really not opposition. He is the base on which my further arguments happen. So Purva Paksha doesn't mean actually opposition, it means the previous proponent's viewpoint. Okay, Siddhanta is my viewpoint of this whoever is doing it. Okay, so Sarvamsha Sangraha Rupani Bhashyani Nirmitani Bhavanti. So these Bhashyas are giving the Purva Paksha point and Uttara Paksha or Siddhanta point to explain my meaning explanation for maybe certain statements from Brahma Sutra or Bhagavad Gita or Upanishad, whatever. Yesha Tritiya Avastha. This is the third stage. So our Shankara, Ramanuja and other such proponents belong in. So there is a whole list here. Shankaracharya, Vallabhacharya, Bhaskaracharya, Baladevacharya, Ramanujacharya, Nimbakacharya, Shripati, Madhavacharya. Believe me, this is just a small list. It's every century somebody comes with some new philosophy, because the people are with brains who are capable of doing such depth study are there in every century, maybe once in a century, if not faster. So there is a lot of schools, mata, from this. Okay, anyway, let's finish reading the main text. Tritiya avastha. Bhashyasya tika tippanyadayah vyakyanadayah yada prachalanti tada nutanaha vicharadharaha api darshana pravahe samavishtaha bhavanti. Whenever these kind of bhashyas with tika, with commentary and notes, tippani, notes, etc., and vyakhyana and further detailed explanatory notes by others about what or Shankara said, etc., when all these activities happen, then a complete new thread of thought about life and meaning gets added to the darshana pravaha. So another small rivulet joins the flow of the nadi. Evam kalanugunam nutanamshanam parigrahanena parivardhanam eva bharatiya darshananam vaishishtyam. So according to the needs of the time, kalanugunam, Okay, Nutananam Amshanam, Nutanamshanam Parigrahanena, by taking newer points and interpreting them as need, increasing our way of life and things like that is the speciality of Bharatiya Darshanas. They are not like closed books, is what is being stated here. Okay, they are not like shut and do as told type of books. Siddhanta Rupana Samaye. So during the time of forming the Siddhanta, Ekasya Darshanasya Anya Darshanani Purvapakshaha Bhavanti. We talked about the Purvapaksha then. So one Darshana becomes the Purvapaksha for another one. Etasya Tatparyam Etat Nayat Etat Darshanam Anya Darshanani Nindanti. It is not as if this new Darshana is blaming the earlier ones. Tiraskaroti, rejects it. Va iti. So it is not as if it rejects or blames it. It is just bringing out a new interpretation, saying that may be faulty. That's all. Yatha Sankhya Darshanasya Vedanta Darshanam Purvapakshaha. So for Sankhya, Vedanta is a Purvapaksha is stated. Actually, I believe in the other path. Actually, Vedanta Darshana use Sankhya as the Purvapaksha is what I see. But anyway, Dvabhyam Purvapakshina. Pakshina. So, tena Vedanta Darshanasya Maulye na nyunata evam paramata nirakaranam. Paramata nirakaranam. Okay, this is the hyphenation. So, paramata nirakaranam. So, rejecting the other matas. Kevalam siddhantasya spashtatartham kriyate natu paramata dushanartham. So, it is not to bring down the other mata, it is just to establish your siddhanta. You compare notes, that's all. Okay, vicharasya upasthanartham prayah sarvani api darshanani nyaya shastra kramam eva anusaranti. So see, nyaya darshana became nyaya shastra fortunately here. So they all base their arguments on nyaya shastra principles of doing arguments in written form. यद्यपि दर्शनानां सिद्धांतेषु मतभेदः अस्ति तथापि तानि जगतः सत्यत्वं जगतः कालदेश कार्यकारणभाव नियतत्वं. Let us go slowly. So even if darshanas in the siddhanta of various darshanas there are different opinions, okay, different schools, even then they all of them, you can in that sense, of the world, the truthfulness, the reality of the world's time, space and karya karana bhava means karya karana bhava. That means there is a cause effect sense. Okay, there is a concept of time, space and cause effect sense, and the permanent nature of such things. Okay, atmanaha astitvam. Okay, what is this atma? What is its raison d'etre for being? Karma niyamaha. What are the duties? Janmantara prapti. How does one get a new body, new life on this earth? Samsaraha. What is the flow of life? Mokshaha. What is the liberation, exit from this punarapi jananam punarapi maranam. Pramanani, all these proofs, methods. Ityadishu amsheshu samanya chintanam tu kurvanti eva. So they all actually focus on these kind of aspects. Okay, the elements on which this matabedas, different matas, not matabedas, the different matas focus on explaining. Etesham darshananam karanatah eva bharatam idanim api jagadguru sthanam arhati. Leave this Jagadguru Sthanam. Okay, so not today, but I'm sure once upon a time it was. So because of these darshanas, even today, I wouldn't take the second part much. Ekada Jagadguru Sthanam tasya asit iti vaktum shaknumaha. We don't even understand these granthas enough to re-establish that Jagadguru path. So let's leave that. Okay, so I think with that we concluded that part. Unfortunately, the movement is little slow, but so I will take 10 more minutes and let us understand about the Sutrakaras. Samskrita Granthakara Parichayaha, and luckily, as usual, they map this section with the previous section where they explain darshanas. These are actually about the author. So a little bit of points, similar points will be there. Okay, but more focused on the proponents. So Sutrakaraha Gautamaha, Kanadaha, Jaiminihi, Badarayanaha, Vedanta. Okay, and then Bharataha. Okay, this is slightly the moving to some different aspects. Okay, I think that much. Okay, so not everybody is being talked about. They didn't talk anything about Patanjali because probably not much is there known. That may be the reason, but what they know they have tried to put down. So Gautama न्यायदर्शनस्य आधारः न्यायसूत्राणि एव. न्यायसूत्राणि गौतमः रचितवान्. गौतमस्य अपरं नाम अक्षपादः इति. So he is the proponent of Nyaya Sutras, Nyaya Darshana's base. Okay, Nyaya Darshana is like a larger collection of not just Nyaya Shastra, Nyaya Sutra, but more than that kind of proposal. But he put down Nyaya Sutras. Okay, Nyaya Sutrani Gautamah Rachitavan. Gautamasya aparam nama Akshapadaha iti. Try to remember. Vedaha, Upanishadaha, Mahabharatam ityadishu granteshu api yadyapi tarkashastrasya moolabhutaha amshaha drishyante tathapi tasya shastrasya vyavasthitam swarupam Gautamena eva kalpitam. Even if we do see aspects of Tarkashastra in Veda, Upanishad, Mahabharata, etc., they are like not in one compendium. They are spread here, there, through some subhashita or some statements like that, in some argument between some Bhishma and Yudhishthira, things like that. So they are not really centralized nicely, whereas the Tarkashastra aspect is brought in home by Gautama's work. Gautama's work. Okay, Vyavasthitam Swarupam Gautamena eva kalpitam. Kalpita, Kapila, I got confused in my brain. Gautamaha 150 tame Kristabde asit iti bhavyate. Okay, I mean he was about 150 years into Christian era. Okay, iti bhavyate. Prabhasa kshetre Soma Sharma Nama Brahmana Asit. In some kshetra called Prabhasa, there was a guy with the name Soma Sharma. Tasya Chaturshu Putreshu Jyeshtaha Eva Gautamaha. So Gautama is the eldest son of this Soma Sharma. Okay. Iti Brahmanda Puranat Nyayate. Oh, somewhere in some old Brahmanda Purana quote that is there, that detail. Interesting. Gautamena Rachitanam Nyaya Sutranam Adharena Eva Nyaya Shastram Shakhopashakharupena Pravruddham. So, using Nyaya Sutras of Gautama only, Nyaya Shastra grew into several branches, branch after branch, like a tree. Sarvashastrakaraha api swasiddhantasya pratipadanartham Nyaya Shastra Chintanam avalambate eva. So this is a basis, this Nyaya Shastra principle is the basis for the Vada that is put forth by all others later. Okay. Karnadaha. This is Vaisheshika Darshana. Proponent of Vaisheshika Darshana. So Nyaya has been put first, then Karnada. But anyway, Idanim Nyaya Shastram yat drishyate tat ekadasha shatabdat purvam Nyaya Darshanam Vaisheshika Darshanam cheti dvida vibhaktam asit. Today what we call Nyaya Shastra was seen before 11th century as two, as Nyaya Darshana and Vaisheshika Darshana. But the Navya Nyaya etc. combined the aspects of both. So we look at them as a pair really. Nyaya Shastra is both Nyaya Sutra proposed by Gautama and Vaisheshika, Nyaya Darshana and Vaisheshika Darshana both are included in that. Okay. Vaisheshika Darshanasya Pravartakaha eva Kanadaha. So the Shastra is called Karnadam. Karnadam is basically Vaisheshika. Okay. Karnadena Vaisheshika Sutrani Rachitani. Etesham Vaisheshika Sutranam Adharena eva Vaisheshika Darshanam Pravruddham. Visheshaha iti padarthaha kaschana angikritaha ityataha etat Vaisheshikam iti uchyate. So the word Vaisheshikam is a vriddhi, taddita vriddhi of Vishesha Shabda. Okay, special. There is something, some padartha, or basically some entity which is special is accepted. Okay, that's why it's called Vaisheshikam.
It talks about Anu, Paramanu, Tranu and all. Tranu being the smallest visible piece.
I think they may explain a little bit, maybe. Let us see. Actually, you see here Paramanuhu, Dvyanukam, Tranukam. So let's wait for that. Okay. So Sankhya Shastram Prachinam. Tataha etasmin shastre visheshaha asti ityataha etat vaisheshikam iti keshanchit abhiprayah. So maybe something to remember how the word Vaisheshikam through Tadita came from Vishesha. Something specific and important is there in this Shastra, so Vaisheshikam, because it has something Vishishta in it. Okay. Visheshaha iti padarthaha kaschana angikritaha ityataha etad Vaisheshikam iti uchyate. I think copycat of the paragraph, so ignore that. Kanadaha saptama shatakat purvam asit iti panditaha vadanti. So 7th century, before 7th century. Kshetrasthan kanan धान्यानि संगृह्य एषः अत्ति खादति इति एतस्य नाम कणादः. Oh, beautiful. So his name has origin in kana and at dhatu. Atti, at. That is basically bunkte, that same thing. Khadati, or more simpler, khadati. So kanadah. Okay. Maybe more because he talks about kana as part of his shastra, really. But anyway, fine. Kanadasya tapasa santushtah bhagavan ishwarah ulookarupeण आगत्य शास्त्रम् उपदिष्टवान् इत्यतः कणाद दर्शनम् औलूक्य दर्शनम् इत्यपि प्रसिद्धमस्ति. Interesting. So apparently the folklore is, maybe Puranic quotes may be there, Ishvara himself came in the form of a owl and gave upadesha of the shastra in the mind of Kanada. So this Kanada darshana is also called Aulukya darshanam. Okay, for us, for simple minds, these are all the entertainment. Okay, Paramanuhu Dvyanukam Trianukam ityadini nirupitani santi Kanadena. So he talks of something that is the primitive element, Paramanu, ultimately small element, and then a pair of them and three of them. Basically, you can equate this to the theory of atoms and molecules of today, as we understand in physics. Nirupitani santi kanadena. Basically, what could be the smallest thing that still is water, like that he thought through. Okay. Jaiminihi. Mimamsa. I will finish this page and we will call it a day. Okay. Mimamsa Jaimini. Okay, one more page is there. Let us see. Mimamsa Shastrasya Mooladaraha Mimamsa Sutrani. So Jaimini is the proposal of Mimamsa Shastra. Okay. Purva Mimamsa, Uttara Mimamsa. Okay. So Badarayana is Purva Mimamsa. Oh, no. Badarayana is the Uttara, basically Brahma Sutra. Sorry. Badarayana Brahma Sutra, and this is Jaimini is the Purva Mimamsa. Okay.
Badarayana, Vyasa are one and the same.
Let us see. I don't think. Etasyaiva Veda Vyasaha ityapi nama jatam sarvam asti. Like I told, no, Patanjali, Vyasa and all, I would like to accept that as a little larger than one person. Okay. Mimamsa Shastrasya Mooladaraha Mimamsa Sutrani Tani Jaimini Maharshina Virachitani Vedartha Vicharam Puraskritya Pravrittam Shastram Mimamsa Shastram. Etat Purva Mimamsa Shastram. I should have highlighted. Purva Mimamsa Shastram ityapi uchyate. Uttara Mimamsa nama Vedanta Shastram anyat. Jaiminehe Purvam api aneke sutrakaraha asan iti Jaimini Grantha Jnayate. From Jaimini Grantha only we kind of find out that there were earlier previous guys, but we don't have access to that material, so we depend on Jaimini as the Pravartaka. So Jaiminehe Kala Vishaye Idamittam iti Kathanam Kashtasadhyam. We cannot say anything like this is it, this is not it, like that. Jaiminihi Badarayanasya Abhiprayam Swasutrena Ullikhati. Jaimini himself indicates the mentions about Badarayana's opinion in his sutras. That means there was some Samakalinitva, Guru Shishya link, something. Badarayanaha api tataiva. Even Badarayana's sutras do contain reference to Jaimini Okay, so looks like peers. Atah tau ubau api samakalinau iti kaishchit uha kriyate. So we can guess that they worked on their stuff in the same time. Krista Shaka 700. I don't know how, because Shankara himself is in this era. I have my own doubts about some of the dates here. Okay, anyway, Krista Shaka सप्तशतके जैमिनेः कालः अष्टशतकं क्षम्यताम् अष्टशतकं जैमिनेः कालः स्यात् इति ऊहा कृता अस्ति नाट् सप्त अष्ट करेक्ट ओके जैमिनेः जीवनविषये अधिकं किमपि न ज्ञायते दैट मीन्स जैमिनी इज आफ्टर शंकर अकॉर्डिंग टू दिस पीपल भगवतं वदति सो ही टेल्स गॉड व्यासः वेदं भागवतं वदति भागवत ग्रंथ सेस् व्यासः वेदं चतुर्धा विभज्य सामवेदं जैमिनिम् उपदिष्टवान् एक्चुअली देयर इज ए शाखा कॉल्ड जैमिनीय शाखा इन सामवेद सो या ऑल राइट बट आई डोंट नो इट्स द सेम जैमिनी ओके हिज नेम इटसेल्फ लुक्स लाइक ए वृद्धि एंड समथिंग एल्स ओके बादरायणः वेदान्तशास्त्रेषु प्रस्थानत्रयं सुविख्यातं वी टाक्ड अबाउट दैट राइट अगेन दे रिपीट दैट तानि च प्रस्थानानि उपनिषदः भगवद्गीता ब्रह्मसूत्राणि दिस इज द पिनकल मोस्ट ऑफ वी कैन इवन अंडरस्टैंड Bhagavad Gita. Upanishad, very little we can understand, we need Vyakya because they are little compact. Brahma Sutras though is almost impossible to understand. I tried. Brahma Sutrani Badarayana Rachitani. Badarayanaः इति भगवतः वेदव्यासस्य अपरं नाम. Okay. उपनिषद्वाक्येषु आपाततः यः विरोधाभासः दृश्यते तं परिहृत्य okay by resolving the contradictions that are seen. Virodhabhasa is a type of fault where there is a contradiction of one statement by another, apparent contradiction. Okay, what is seen, parihritya, having resolved those contradictions, samanvaya purvakam tattva nirnayam karoti brahma sutrakaraha. So he tries to agree with the viewpoints and creates a tattva based on removing those virodhabhasas. Okay, brahma sutranam rachanayaah anantaram vedantasya darshanattvena manyata pravruddha. So brahma sutras such high quality that this vedanta became a darshana more due to the brahma sutra aspect. So some works that had happened earlier were not as strong as the proposition of brahma sutras, which made created a vedanta shastra, उत्तरमीमांसा शास्त्र. दशाधिकानां भाष्याणां प्रवृत्तौ अपि ब्रह्मसूत्राणि एव मूलम्. So even if there are more than 10 important bhashyas, Brahmasutra is the source. भाष्य सहायं विना ब्रह्मसूत्राणाम् अर्थस्य ज्ञानं सर्वथा दुष्करम्. It's impossible to interpret Brahma Sutras without the भाष्य sahitya. Okay. बादरायणस्य कालः क्रिस्तशक 400 आसीत् स्यात् इति इतिहासज्ञाः अभिप्रयन्ति. So perhaps around 4th century. Okay. अखण्डं वेदराशिं चतुर्धा विभक्तवान् इत्यतः एतस्य वेदव्यासः इत्यपि नाम जातम्. So he also worked on categorizing Vedas into 4 ways. Okay. So he also came to be known as Vedavyasa. एतस्य कुलम एषः श्लोकः विवृणोति. There is one in Paddhati, some shloka, maybe in some Purana it may appear. व्यासं वसिष्ठनप्तारं शक्तेः पौत्रमकल्मषं पराशरात्मजं वन्दे शुकतातं तपोनिधिम्. I bow down to Vyasa, to Vasishta's okay, let's see the Vyakhyana. Vyasah Parasharasya putrah. So Parasharatmajam. So Atmajam, son of Parashara. Shakti Maharshehe Pautrah. So Pautram Shaktehe. So Shaktehe Pautram. Pautraha means grandson. Vasishtah Vyasasya Prapitamaha. So Vasishta Naptaraha. So this was actually great grandson of Vasishta. Then Shuka Maharshihi Vyasasya Putraha. Shukatatam is somewhere. Shukatatam. So father of Shuka. So he is described, his whole lineage is described. So Vasishta and many years later Vyasa, and then like that. So Shakti was in that Vasishta lineage, was Shakte Maharshehe Pautraha, and then Prapautraha. So that means Vasishta Prapitamaha. So he is Prapautra of okay. So nice verse about Vyasa. Alright, so Bharataha, we will read this and close. Alankara Shastre Upalabhyamaneshu Pratamaha Grantha Natya Shastram. Alankara Shastre, this is true. Okay, Etasya Rachayita eva Bharata Munihi. So Bharata is the proponent of Alankara Shastra. So lot of the after 64 different kalas, no, this many kalas are described in Bharata only, in Bharata's work only. Natya Shastram yadyapi pradhanyena Natya Sangeetabhinayan vivrunoti tatapi tatra chandamsi rasaha alankaraschapi pratipaditaha eva. Though it focuses on music, dance, acting, etc., it also has complete detail for the authors of the material for this, like Chandas Shastra is embedded a little bit, Rasas, what is the mean, various kind of emotions that are evoked, that is Rasa, Alankara, all the colorations on the verses, all these are also scientifically explained by Bharata. It's a great work, Natya Shastra. Natya Shastrasya Kalaha, very practical, because this is a Laukika. Very practical. Natya Shastrasya Kalaha Kristapurva Dvishatame Varshe Kristashaka Trishatame Madhye. I mean between 2nd and 3rd century. Kadachit Syat iti 3rd and 4th century. Okay, maybe, I don't know. Iti kadachit syad iti vimarshakaha abhiprayanti. Bharataha swaputran natyashastram natyaprayogancha bodhitavan iti katha shruyate. So he taught his sons. विभाव अनुभाव्यभिचारी संयोगात् रसनिष्पत्तिः इत्येतस्य नाट्यशास्त्रस्थस्य रससूत्रस्य आधारेण रससंप्रदायः प्रवृत्तः. So he gave the first sutra about where is rasa generating, where is this emotions emitting from people, due to what. So vibhava anubhava vyabhichari samyoga, three things come together for producing rasa. Okay, I won't go into Vyakhana of that because I am not capable. Okay, Natya Shastrasya Bahuni Vyakhyanani Santi. Luckily, it is very well analyzed by many people and we have access to them. Teshu Abhinavaguptasya Kashmira Deshiyaha Abhinavagupta. Abhinavaguptasya Abhinava Bharati iti Vyakhyanam Suprasiddham. Bharatena Kevalam Chatvaraha Alankaraha. Okay. Nirupitaha asan. So Bharata only talked about 4 alankaras, but today idanim alankara shastre shatadikaha alankaraha drishyante. Hundreds of alankaras are seen. So with that we conclude. I think I dragged you guys out a bit because I wanted to finish all the lesson part of this. We will do the abhyasa of whatever little abhyasa that remains from the end of the chapter next week, and then proceed into 7th lesson. So Bhagini here, Pratima Bhagini has a message. Veda Vyasa, after compiling the Vedas into 4 parts, 1 minute, gave them to his 4 disciples to propagate. One of them is Jaimini. Okay, good. Okay, so Badarayana is the guru, and Jaimini is the Shishya. So Badarayana focused on Vedanta and the Shishya focused on the Purva Mimamsa aspects, because the Guru himself was working on the Vedanta, so he focused on Karma Bhaga of the Vedas, Karma Kanda of the Vedas. Okay, with that we conclude. Sorry for stretching you guys, but I think a lot of new things we learnt here about our history, so good to always know that. Thank you very much. Let us meet next Saturday at 11 a.m. Next Saturday I have also scheduled a Saturday afternoon session. We will use that and see if we can keep moving so that we complete all the studies that we need to do for the exams. See you all. Thank you.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ನಮೋ ನಮಃ
ನಮೋ ನಮಃ.
recording stop